Okay, assalamu alaikum. Hope you are well. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's become something like my introduction, that, hasn't it? Okay, assalamu alaikum. Let's see who we have with us in the chat. So, 607. A quick question here. What is your stance on zina? My religious teacher says fornication is zina, but I honestly have no idea. I know that zina is only when a married man with an unmarried woman and a unmarried man. Didn't get that last part, but no, zina is only when a married woman is involved, right? So it's a, if the woman is married, then it's zina. If she isn't, it's not zina. Okay, that's my stance. So that's what I would say for that. But yes, fornication, fornication is also a sin. It is also a sin. But as in that for which there is a punishment, which is the lashing in the Qur'an, that is only if the woman is married. Whether the man is married or not makes no difference as to whether it's zina. And of course, both are punished, right? So zina and of it. Because some people seem to misunderstand that and think that it just means a married woman is guilty of zina and the guy is not. No, whoever has done the deed with her is also guilty of zina. All right, let me get my presentation. I don't have as much time tonight, so it's a pretty interesting thing to talk about. It's going to go somewhere where I don't think many people would have thought it will do. Okay. Let me say salam to everybody else. Yes, salam. So, always good to see you. Hope you're well. It's a bit slow today. Inaya. Assalamu alaikum. And Sajo. And I forget who was it. This brother, I know him, but I always forget the name behind these icons. Yeah, maybe if I give me a second, maybe if I plug in my laptop. Hold on. Okay, let's hope that's a little bit better. I don't know why it's cutting off a bit today. I could see I had that little icon saying that the connection was bad, but that seems to have gone away. So hopefully it's better now. All right, okay, so new earth for the righteous. So this from just between two sets of verses in the Qur'an I was just reading, and something struck me. Tied together two separate passages, and just started thinking about it, and it led to some kind of insight or question, I should say. So let's go through that. So it's these verses in Surah Ibrahim, right? Surah Ibrahim, and the beginning of it is, the verses just before this is talking about the righteous. No, not this one. Sorry, this one isn't talking about the righteous. It's talking about something else. But anyway, it says, let's read it together. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فلا تحسبن الله مخلف وعده رسله إن الله عزيز ذو انتقام. So never think that Allah will promise to his messengers. Okay, which promises this? Promise of judgment, I suppose. But that promise isn't made to just the messengers, right? The promise is made to everybody. So could this just mean their victory, right? That God is going to give victory to his messengers. Anyway, let's continue. Indeed, Allah is exalted in might, owner of retribution. On the day, the earth, another earth. Okay. So this promise is something that will be fulfilled on the day that the earth is changed with another earth. Right? يوم تبدل الأرض غير الأرض السماوات. Right? On the day the earth will be replaced by another earth and the heavens. So both. وبرزوا لله الواحد القهار. And they will come out for the crusher, sort of al-qahar, he's the prevailing, but sort of like the one who crushes others, sort of like the invincible, and one who the other is the one on top. Okay, al-wahid al-qahar. Okay, so here we have this idea, right, that there will be earth, the earth will be exchanged for another earth, right, and the heavens. Okay. وترى المجرمين يومئذ مقرنين في الأصفاد, and you will see the criminals that day bound together in irons, right? سرابيلهم من قطران النار, their garments of liquid pitch and their faces covered by the fire. The formatting here is a bit strange. I don't know why. Okay, so now it's talking a bit about the judgment. Now this, so it's talking about the earth being changed to another earth, and then afterwards it's talking about the criminals, the mujrimeen, being punished. The garments of liquid pitch, their faces covered by the fire, and the recompense. Right. So the next verse says, ليجزي الله كل نفس ما كسبت إن الله سريع الحساب. So that Allah will recompense every soul it has earned. Piece of evidence which again shows that it's, the judgment really is about what you earn, what you do, your actions. Okay, but again, this is the sequence here is important. This seems to be happening after the earth has been swapped for another earth, right? So a sort of like the destruction of the world and then Judgment Day and that sort of thing. We're talking about a new earth. So is this happening on a new earth? Indeed, Allah is swift to account. And then this right, it has it over here. Again, the formatting, I don't know why it's like that for this in particular, but it says هذا بلاغ للناس. Right, this is and you could say notification. Balagh comes from balagha, which means to reach, to reach what's intended, right? Sort of like tabligh of da'wah, Jama'at tabligh, these people who are trying to spread the news, right? Make it reach, okay, make it reach somewhere. Yes, this is the balagh for mankind. Here it says notification in translation. وَلِيُنذِرُوا بِهِ وَلِيَعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا هُوَ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ وَلِيَذَّكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ, that they may be warned thereby, and that they may know that He is but one God, and that those of understanding will be reminded. Okay, so this is the first set of verses. So again, just note timeline. Okay, the land is replaced by another earth, and then you have the punishments and rewards and accounting. Okay, but what need is there for a new earth on Judgment Day, right? will be Jannah, right? Jannah and hell. So what's the purpose of a new earth? Then you can ask that question. Let me see if I can. Just very quickly. I want to see if this will work as well. Okay. And note in particular the last part, right? هذا بلاغ. This is what actually drew my attention to the next set of verses we're going to talk about. Just this phrasing, right? This introduction to the thing. هذا بلاغ. هذا بلاغ. Right at the end of this section. هذا بلاغ. And this, of course, is the last. This is the last verse in the surah. The last verse in Surah Ibrahim. هذا بلاغ. So what was just mentioned, right? Regarding the earth being replaced by a new earth, and then the and then the recompense, etc. It's a balag, right? It's a balag, a notification, according to this translation, a notification to people. Okay. Now this same word comes up in this set of verses in Surah Al-Anbiya, right? Same thing. Inna fi hadha la balaghan. It says, Inna fi hadha la balaghan. And going back, you will see that we have a similar idea of recreation of creation, right? So before started, the verses earlier before that is again, it's talking about the righteous, right? Describing a little bit. Then it says, لا يحزنهم الفزع الأكبر. So on Judgment Day, or on that day, they will not be grieved by the greatest. They will meet them saying, this is the day which you have been promised. لا يحزنهم الفزع الأكبر وتتلقاهم الملائكة هذا يومكم الذي كنتم توعدون. Okay. What day? What is this day? يوم نطوي السماء كطي السجل أن أول خلق نعيده. Right. The day when we will fold the heaven like the folding of a sheet of paper, basically of parchment, for the records. As we began the first creation, we it. So almost given the same idea, basically, that there will be a recreation, right? On the other verses was talking about how the earth will be swapped for a new earth, and then it also says and the heavens and the samawat. And this verse seems to be focusing mostly on heavens, but of course the earth is part of the creation as well, right? So when it says as we began the first creation, we will repeat it. That can include the earth as well, right? But this one seems to be focused more on the sky, well, at least creating the image by a focus on the sky. يوم نطوي السماء كطي السجل للكتب كما بدأنا أول خلق نعيده. It says وعدا علينا. It's a promise from us. Indeed, we will do it, right? Then it says وَلَقَدْ كَتَبْنَا فِي الزَّبُورِ مِنْ بَعْدِ الذِّكْرِ أَنَّ الْأَرْضَ يَرِثُهَا عِبَادِيَ الصَّالِحُونَ. And we have already written in the Zabur, in the Psalms, right, or just in the script, dhikr, that the earth, the land, will be inherited by my righteous servants, right? So this links a little bit to the previous verse where it talks the earth will be replaced by a new earth, right? Could we say that it's the new earth that the inherit, right? That what's going to happen is the new earth is going to be replaced for the old earth, and it's that which the righteous are going to inherit. This is different from what I mentioned, for example, in my game video, where I said, when Allah says that the righteous will inherit the earth, that is something which is going to happen and will be for a long period. Okay, you can still fit that into the same idea, but it will be sort of an earth which has replaced the current, right? And it doesn't have to be like a physical replacement of the whole globe of the earth. It could just be that the idea that the whole earth has just changed, right? That God has initiated a huge change, global change, right? That the world had complete. But it's here in the same thing, right? أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون. And then it says again this phrase, إن في هذا لبلاغا لقوم عابدين. Truly in this there is balagh. There is a this time notification. Yes, they did as well, right? In this is notification for the worshipping people, right? And then it adds the famous verse, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And we did not send you, or Muhammad, except as a mercy to the world. Again, there seems to be an idea that after judgment, or at judgment in this case, right? So here, of course, we were talking about, in the beginning, it was talking about the righteous, right? And how they will not grieve, and they'll be told, this is the day which you have been promised, etc. So this seems to be our judgment. There will be a change in creation, a making anew. So the day when we fold the heavens like folding of sheet, for the records, as we began the first creation, we repeat it, right? And it is the earth will be inherited by the righteous servant, so that it could be read that way, right? If we take this as a kind of timeline. And again, like I said, here again, you have this phrase, هذا بلاغا, right? هذا بلاغا لقوم عابدين. Okay, and that's what painful, because you don't see this phrase much in the Quran. هذا بلاغ. I think this is the only two sets of verses where you have that, right? And they are both mention this eschatology of a recreation of creation. I think it's pretty significant, right? What I mean balagh, like I said, balagha means to reach the end, to fulfill something, to you could, when you say you convey the message, you've made it reach its intended goal, right? Tabligh, right? إنما عليك البلاغ المبين. When the Quran says to the Prophet, upon you is only the balagh and mubin, the clear conveying of the message. It's that same word, balagh, right? To make it reach. But this leads to something. When you think about this famous verse here, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, right? And you try to think of it in terms of the context that we were just talking about. The creation after the creation. And why is this verse here? وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have not sent you except as a mercy to the peoples. Of course, alameen, some people think it means all of the animals, etc. No, alameen means the people, right? It's about mankind in the end, right? أَوَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا فِي صُدُورِ الْعَالَمِينَ. In one verse it says, does not God not know best what is in the breast of the people, mankind, right? So it leads to this famous verse at the end of this section, right? So and the way it starts, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً, and we not send you except as a mercy to all peoples. Why is there this and, right? It's linked to the previous verses, the previous ideas, and why change, it seems, of topic from eschatology, judgment, new creation, to the prophet, right, to the messenger. So the placement of this verse has always seemed odd. But what if the and verses, which the previous word says, on the day when we will fold the heavens, and also the day when the righteous will inherit the earth, that it could be saying that really that day that he will be sent as a mercy to all people. Is that what it's saying, right? To the righteous who are left. So the idea being that this part of this verse, right? Because some people can make this argument and say, of course, it's only been a short while since the prophet, right? That's one of the things I also mentioned in my God's Endgame video, that a day in God's sight is 1,000 years, right, from our years. That's what the Quran and a half since the Prophet, right? But still, people can look and say, okay, where is this great mercy from the Prophet? If he was sent as a mercy to all people, then that should come about. We should see that his mercy encompassing, well, at least eventually, right? And so somebody can look at that and say, well, that's not happened, hasn't happened, and doesn't look like it's going to happen, right? Especially with the his regime being corrupted through sectarianism and whatnot, right? We could say that this is actually something which is going to happen in the future. That when he says وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, it's referring again to that day, to the day in the future when the earth will be changed to a new earth and the heavens, and sent you except as a mercy to all peoples, if that makes sense. So let me, I tried to put a combined reading here just to try to get my point across. So these verses something like this: the righteous shall inherit the earth on the day that the earth is replaced with another earth, and the heavens too, being rolled up like sheets. And on that day we will have sent you as a messenger, nor a prophet, nor to teach the kitab or the hikmah to the ummiyin. We would have sent you as nothing save as a mercy to all people. Right? So I thought that's an interesting way to combining it with, and just bring it back to this, right? You could read it basically like you're skipping from this part down to here, right? يوم نطوي السماء كطي كما بدأنا أول خلق نعيده وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. Right? On the day we roll up the heavens, like, for the books, كما بدأنا أول خلق نعيده, as we created the creation the first time, we recreate it, and we have not sent you except as a mercy to. Okay, so that's my brief contemplation to share with you today. Oh my God, I just went back and it says the browser has lost its connection. Yes, bad internet. Let's see. I'm getting cut off. Bad internet. Yeah, it seems that way. I don't know what the problem is today. Nothing has changed. I don't know. Did everybody catch what I was saying? Walaikum assalam, brother. Yeah, the audio is cutting off every now and then. Yeah, that's another thing, right? So I mean, it's connected a little bit to the idea from Christians. I think they believe that, right? I mean, remember Muhammad Ali? If you watch some of his interviews, did they think that when he was one of the of Islam, right? They had the idea, which they seem to have taken from Christianity, which is that heaven will be on earth, right? That there will be a new earth on the earth. So you're going to have the heaven will be on earth. It won't be destruction of the world, and then heaven and hell and these other parts of the universe, so to speak. No, it will be all here, right? Islamic studies write this: on the occasion of resurrection, the earth and the heavens will not be totally destroyed, but at the blowing of the first trumpet, the existing physical system shall. Right? Yeah, that's another way to see it. Shall be disarranged. After this, between the blowing of the first and the last trumpet, the present form and aspect, and the heavens shall be transformed, and a new physical system, will commence with the present form and aspect of the earth, and the heavens shall be transformed, and a new physical system will come to exist. That will be the world of the hereafter. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I got chills reading that last part. Which last part? I wonder if it's a law of physics changing. Perfect power. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're well. Yeah, again, I'm sorry about the bad connection. I don't know what it was. It's still there now. In fact, I can see that it's telling me that the connection is bad. I don't know why that is, to be honest. Hope that the point got across. So let me just, explain it one more time. What led me to get to this idea was, first of all, that the use of the word balagh, right? إن في هذا لبلاغا هذا بلاغ للناس. In both of these verses, they're talking about eschatology, and they talk about a recreation of the earth, heavens. So just looking at that, and then just noting this last part where it talks about the Prophet being sent as a mercy to all mankind, right? Right now, he hasn't been sent only as a mercy to the peoples, right? He has been sent as a prophet, as a messenger. Siraj Munira, the Quran says also, he's been sent to teach the Ummiyeen and the hikmah, and to purify them and to rehearse God's signs. He's been sent for a lot of things, right? But if you were to take this idea, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً, I did not send you except as a mercy to peoples, then sort of you could say, okay, it has to be at another time where he doesn't have these other functions as well, where his only function will be to be a mercy to peoples. He won't be bringing, you could ask, of course, what does mercy mean? Of course, it could mean, bringing knowledge and laws and purifying. All of those can fall under mercy as well, of course. There, but just taking it in that kind of way, you could say that he'll have a function very different, which is one just of only mercy in the new earth, or potential new earth. Okay. Yeah. What kind of role in mercy can the prophet or a prophet have on that day? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's something in the future. I mean, what's that new earth going to look like, right? What will be needed then? I don't know. But I mean, again, this is just an idea. I thought I'd share. I'm not sure. How accurate it's going to be or anything like that. But this is why we're here, right? We're here to share contemplation of the Quran. Any insights that you might have, anything that you want to share, I've been recommending to everybody to please come on and share it. And so there's just something I thought I'd share it tonight. I don't know what's up with my internet connection today. I know I don't have new internet. I don't have a new device. It's all the same, but for some reason, it's doing this. I'm not sure why. Assalamu alaikum. We'll have to catch up on the stream later. All right, cool. My Geralt of Rivia. Okay, I have somebody backstage, Rashid. Assalamu alaikum. I'm bringing you on now. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Long time no here.
Yeah,
You've been
away for a while. But I had.
How's everything?
Yeah, everything is fine, alhamdulillah. How's everything with you?
Yeah, good. Alhamdulillah, shukrillah. Sorry, I don't know why my connection is so bad today. It just is. I need to clear the cache or something of my browser. So
Anyway,
have you been?
a quick question, and I wanted to pick your brain about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's kind of unrelated to this particular topic, and
That's fine.
it's but yeah, it's pertaining to that verse in Surah Al-Qadr, in which Allah says, "Tanazzalul malaikatu." So I wanted to ask, like, what kind of verb that is being used within that that word tanazzalu? I mean, we know that nazzala, right? That it is used for revealing or making something to come down, or sending down, as it's also translated by others. But then, so we know that's a verb. But then here we have tanazzalu, which is and the angels are, as well as the ruh, they are placed in the marufu'. So they are the ones doing the act of tanazzal here. So I sort of wanted to know, like, what is the verb that is being used? Because for me, from what I understand, it's not the verb nazzala that is being conjugated into the present.
Yeah, I think it's what was it? There was somebody who put together something about that, right? So there's a difference between nazala and anzala, right?
Yes.
So there's nazala and anzala, right? That the bringing down, right? So in this one, nazala, right? This one. Tanazzal is from nazala, right? Tanazzala, nazala, right? That's what it comes down to. But in the end, I think the difference is very minuscule. It has to do if you really want to look and like compare different verses very specifically. I mean, which verses are you trying to compare when you're looking at
the thing that I'm trying to understand mostly is what is which verb is being conjugated here. It's not so much the differences between anzala or nazala. It's more I want to know the verb that is being conjugated, because we have this occurs also in Surah Ash-Shu'ara, for example, where it says هل أنبئكم على من تنزل الشياطين, right? تنزل على كل أفاك أثيم. So it's used there as well, تنزل, and it's used as tanazzalu. So because of lelu, we are assuming that it is in the present, unless if I'm mistaken about that. And so the assumption here is that the verb that is being conjugated into the present is nazzala, which is becoming tanazzalu, if you understand what I mean. Because when we have in Surah Al-Maryam there, where you have وَمَا نَتَنَزَّلُ إِلَّا بِأَمْرِ رَبِّكَ, right? The verb that is being conjugated there is tanazzala. So it's being conjugated into وَمَا نَتَنَزَّلُ. So tanazzala is being conjugated into natanazzalu. So that sort of like it makes sense. And here we have tanazzalu. So it's not like it's not being conjugated into tatanazzalul malaikatu.
Okay, so you're asking why it's not
Tatanazzalul malaikatu.
why it's not تتنزل الملائكة?
Yes.
It is, isn't it? You're talking about in Surah Al-Qadr.
Yeah, it's tanazzalu, but it's not tatanazzalul malaikatu wa ruh.
I see what you mean. All right, okay, I see.
I don't know exactly what verb is being used there or is being conjugated there. It's strange.
I don't think it's a difference in actual verb. It's still going to be the same. It's still the same verb that is being conjugated. Just what form of it you mean, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When you were saying verb, I was like, okay, what other verb is it? It's just nazala, right? It's down to the same thing, right?
I get that. Yeah, I get that. It's just a bizarre sort of like a just a wondering I had, just trying to like
I'm not sure. It's going to be something very subtle, right? It's probably going to be something very subtle,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I get what you mean. So one of them is وَمَا نَتَنَزَّلُ إِلَّا بِأَمْرِ رَبِّكَ, right?
Mhm.
Or تَتَنَزَّلُ على كل أفاك أثيم. You've got those sort of things, so those sort of verses. You've got even with the, I think, the Torah, right?
Which one are we saying here?
For example, like which verse was that? I was just thinking about here. Was it so the verse which has the something about the Torah?
You mean the one in Taurat?
يسألك أهل الكتاب. No, okay, there's one with يسألك أهل الكتاب أن تنزل عليهم كتابا من
Yeah, see,
السماء. There's that one.
yeah, that makes sense. That one, for example.
Yeah, ويحذر المنافقون أن تنزلوا عليهم
Yeah.
سورة تنبئهم بما في أنفسهم. There's that.
Yeah, that one, for example, the one that you just mentioned, where it says, okay, yes, alka ahlul kitab and tunazzal alayhim, right?
Yeah.
So that one sort of,
تنزل عليهم, yeah.
that one makes sense grammatically for me. I understand it, why it is like the way it is. It makes sense because they're asking the prophet for him to cause a book to come down or to descend a book. So that sort of makes sense in it. But here, I'm not even sure whether tanazzalul mala, whether the word tanazzalu is it present? Is it past? Like what that's the thing, is that I'm not even sure whether it is present, past, or it's continuous. It's
For the one in Surah Al-Qadr.
yeah. I don't even know whether it is present because it says tanazzalu. So I'm not sure even if that is, because if it is, if we go with the assumption that it is present, it's in the present, then the word itself, tanazzalu, that's sort of like if I say, where Allah, for example, says, yunazzilul malaika, right? For example, here Allah used as in yunazzilu, He sends down, okay, al malaikata, as He says in Surah, I think it is what, Nahl, yeah, yunazzilul malaikata. So you see there that He's doing the act of sending down. So if He is doing it, so the one, if you are doing it, then it would be.
Okay, so you're asking mainly not about past or present. You're asking mainly about who is doing the act.
Yeah, who is doing the act, but also because from the way the verse is structured, it appears that it is in the present, and from the understanding of the verse, it
I mean,
appears.
with Surah Al-Qadr, I mean, we're told when it happens, right? We're told it's about Laylatul Qadr.
Yeah.
So, I'm talking about the past, present, or future. In the end, it's going to be all of it because we're talking about a night which is going to be repeated, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're wondering if this was only happened once, right? Is that your question about it? Do you think that Laylatul Qadr was just one time and that was it?
No. I'm just wondering about the actual word itself, because I just don't understand it. The word is it, for example, when you read, okay, tanazzalul malaikatu, okay, the angels themselves, they are doing the act, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So the act that they are doing, what is it? Is it
It's coming down.
yeah, coming down, exactly. But then you look at the word tanazzalu and you wonder, like, why isn't it tatanazzalu? Because tatanazzalu, that would mean that they are coming down, just as we saw in Surah Maryam, natanazzalu illa bi amri rabbik. But then you wonder, why is it tanazzalu?
Why is it not tetanazzalu, right?
Yeah.
Instead of tanazzalu.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is
Because
it
then I
not
have to ask
the double te?
yeah, because then I have to ask, what is the past tense of tanazzalu? I know tanazzalu, the past tense is tanazzala.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things again where it's about um, um, volition, right? So even though yes, the angels are coming down themselves, right? They are still coming down by the command of their Lord, right?
Yeah.
Whereas when you look at, for example, the shayateen, that isn't about by the command of anybody, right? They're just doing it. So that's why that one is تتنزل, right?
Uh,
تتنزل على كل أفاك أثيم.
no,
As
no.
far as
It's also the same with that ayah in Ash-Shu'ara. It also used tanazzal, the same word.
which وما نتنزل إلا بأمر ربك, right?
That one is
Yeah,
referring to
again,
the
so
angels.
that no, but so that's exactly what it is. So وما نتنزل, which here would be coming down without an order, right? And
Okay.
it's إلا بأمر ربك, right?
Mhm.
Except with the command of our Lord, right? So we never come down without an order, right?
Okay.
We don't do like what the shayateen do, right?
Mhm.
وما نتنزل, right? So here ما نتنزل would be a tanzil, just completely on our own violation. We don't do that.
Mhm.
That's what that verse would be saying, right? وما نتنزل, and it says إلا بأمر ربك, right?
Mhm.
Except by the command of our Lord.
Mhm.
And that's why then it will be sort of like tanazzul. Um,
Mhm.
That's what I remember about that a while ago. I remember reading something about this or watching something about it a very long time ago, right?
Mhm.
The difference between these two. And it was, I'm pretty sure it was something like that, right? Where with the ta, it is that it's completely on their own, by
Mhm.
their own choice, right? Whereas without it, it is just it's being commanded, right? Being commanded.
Okay. So, wait. Natanazzalu, you said it is with command, and
Yeah,
tanazzalu is without command.
yeah, seems to be something like that. So, for example, تتنزل على كل أفاك أثيم, right? That's for shayateen. And in that verse that you mentioned, وما نتنزل, right? We don't do that, right? So if you contrast it in that kind of way, I think it makes more sense, right? Where that's what the shayateen do. Well, the angels don't do that. They don't do تتنزل, right? The shayateen do تتنزل, the malaika don't,
Yeah, but
right?
I think we are crossing each other. I think we're misunderstanding each other a little bit.
Mm.
The ayah, there are three ayats in the Quran that use the one tanazzalu. Sorry, do you have someone in the backstage?
No, no.
Okay. The verse, this word tanazzalu in its exact form like that occurs three times from what I could see. Two times in Surah Al-Shu'ara and once in Surah Al-Qadr.
Okay.
The two times in Surah Al-Shu'ara are both about they're both
No,
about
but
the shayateen.
okay. No, but hold on. I think yeah. No, the one which is in Surah Al-Qadr,
Mhm.
تنزلوا. The
Yeah.
ta is not in the same formation, right, as in the others, right?
Yes, it is.
So yes, you have the different tas in these, right? One is from the tanzil, so like how you have this idea of tanzil, the ta in tanzil, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the ta of the third person, right? Tafal, right? It's not that. Okay. So in the other one where it says وَمَا نَتَنَزَّلُ إِلَّا
Uh,
بِأَمْرِ رَبِّكَ, you have the noon there, you have the ta, you have another noon and the za and lam, right?
yeah,
Right?
but okay, maybe it's better if we put up the verses, because in Surah Al-Shu'ara, the statement there is هل أنبئك على من تنزل الشياطين على من
Hmm.
تنزل الشياطين تنزل على كل أفاك أثيم. So the word that is used is تنزل, the same word that is used in Al-Qadr,
Let
تنزل
me pull him
الملائكة.
back so I can
Yeah,
see him as well.
yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
And yeah, tell me the verse numbers, so then I can pull them up. Then it's easier. Okay, which one was the verses? If you have them somewhere, listen down. So Surah Al-Qadr is fourth verse. Yeah, here it is. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر, right? And then what's the main one? We just need one other one that we're going to contrast with, right? What's the one in Surah Shura? Hello, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, 26,222. I just looked it up.
Yeah, 26,222 or 221 and 222. They have the same word. Tanazzal.
Let's go to that one.
Yeah.
هل ننبئكم على من تنزل الشياطين, right?
Yeah.
تنزل على كل أفاك أثيم.
Yes, that's the exact same word that is used in
تنزل على كل أفاك أثيم. And then we have, what was it? تنزل الملائكة. There it is.
Yeah.
So it's these three verses.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you're right. It's exactly the same one.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the same word, and it only occurs in these three places. So I was wondering, why isn't it tatanazzal? You know, because okay, let's say tatanazzalu al-malaikatu fiha.
So what was it? I'm trying to remember now. What was the actual thing which that guy was talking about? There's some linguist, very famous linguist, who really goes into these sort of granular questions. Was it that it was? I forget what it was. It was something about. So I'm guessing that the other one, the one that I was talking about, Anzala versus Nazala, that had its own thing, and this must have had its own thing as well. I don't know. Maybe it's about the number of times, right? Maybe it's about the number of times. So تنزل على كل أفاك أثيم.
But do you see that word is it in the do you understand?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying now. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where was that one which is the one which is in Surah
in Maryam?
Yeah. What verse number is that?
Let me try to bring it up a bit.
إلا بأمر ربك. إلا بأمر. Okay, I got it. It's Surah Maryam 64.
Oh, 64.
64. Right, so this one. وما نتنزل إلا بأمر ربك له ما بين أيدينا وما خلفنا وما بين ذلك وما كان ربك نسيا. So the question is, why isn't this one in Surah Al-Qadr the same, right?
No, it's more like tatanazzal.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Why isn't it the same, similar to that one, right?
Exactly, yeah.
نزلوا, and why isn't it in that? So I don't know. I wonder what the difference is. Is one a different form of the verse in the original?
Yeah.
And the other one not? Not sure. I wonder what the qira'at are. The qira'at all the same here as well?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I wondered that
Yeah.
as well. So I looked at the Qur'an and they all have the same word.
They all
The
have the same
yeah,
difference.
yeah, the same differences.
Mm, mm,
I'm
mm.
thinking like, why? Because I don't even understand if the word is in the present. Because if it is in the present, what is its plural? Is it tanazzala? Because if it is tanazzala, then it would be tatanazzal in when you conjugate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
You know,
not sure what you mean by is not understanding if it's in the present or not.
the
Which one are you saying? This, the one in Surah Maryam or the one in Surah
in
Al-Qadr?
qadar, the one in qadar,
Okay.
because yeah, because okay, let's look at the let's if we look at the one in Maryam, right? And it says wama natanazzalu. So we here it is the first person,
Yeah.
and it is plural and it's present, right?
Yeah.
So we understand those three aspects about that one. It's the first person, as in we. It's mudar. It's present. We don't come down because of the na coming at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
let's stick with
yeah,
Mudara. Because to be honest, I mean, present doesn't really work in Arabic. We talk about present, but there's not really
yeah. But just for the
yeah,
sake
it's
of
not Mudara. Yeah.
just for the sake of you know uh, keeping it as simple as as
Yeah.
possible, just for us. So there we can understand those three aspects. But then when we go to qadr, I because we don't, I don't even know, is it
Is it
singular?
Mudara or not?
Yeah, is it? Yeah, you don't even know that. It's just
Hmm.
a completely different word. I don't even know the verb for it, or the past, or what verb is being, or whether it is being conjugated. It just
Hmm.
stands alone, it seems.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't see it as a big issue over here, but
No, it's
uh,
not an issue at all. It's not an issue. I
no,
mean,
no issue. I mean, in terms of in terms of seeing as, I mean, to me, it just looks this. It looks pretty much the same. Tanazzalu, it's still in the mudari, right?
it's yeah. But then we would have to ask, okay, it's in the mudari because of the lu at the end, so we assume that it's in the mudari.
Hmm.
However, then we have to ask, okay, what is its past then? What's its madi, right? Is it tanazzala or is it nazzala? Is that the madi of it, the past? So that we can try to figure out how it's being conjugated into the mudari.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. There's probably some very, very fine, granular, technical thing of
exactly. Yeah,
technical thing here, but that escapes me. I don't know what it is.
I've looked at the different Arab conjugations and the different grammar rules that are there, and I have not been able to find anything. I've even looked at the different tafasirs that were written, where they focus about the grammar and that kind of thing,
Hmm.
but still not able to find a single thing about
Yeah.
this, because for me it seems very strange.
Yeah, your best bet would be I forget his name. There's this one like I said, this linguist, this guy who
Mm,
I mentioned before, who really goes into these sort of things. These kind of things are sort of his obsession.
mm.
And he had an Arabic program where he would basically constantly look at these kind of slight differences between different words
Is he Egypt?
and how they're used. I think he's Syrian actually, but I can't tell because in the whole program he's always speaking in Fusha.
Okay.
So but I think he was Syrian. I think he was Syrian. Look it up, maybe check it out. Try to find my YouTube clip of him. Just do فرق بين تنزل وتتنزل and see what comes up. Not sure because I'm not sure what this would be. I think it's going to be something very very subtle but very very obvious once it's pointed out. Right? Oh, where'd you go?
Uh,
Assalamu alaikum.
yeah, Alaikum salam. Sorry, the program jumped out for for some reason.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Like I said, it's probably going to be something very, very simple, very, very subtle,
Yeah,
and which will make sense once you get to it.
yeah. It's
But
it's
what it is, I don't know.
I mean, there are certain words like that, for example, in the Arabic, especially particularly with the Quran, where sometimes it sort of deviates from the norm, you know, from what you expect it to be, and you just. I wondered about that. It just seems so bizarre to me.
I don't know.
Why?
You've piqued my curiosity, so maybe I'll try and find out as well next time. Maybe in the
Sure.
next stream, if I or when we next speak, maybe I would have had it noted down somewhere in my obsidian vault or something, and then I can see. And if you find out, let me know as well.
Sure, sure. I'll keep trying.
Yeah.
Anyway, are you are you busy? Are you going to be moving on to the next one? The
No,
next
there's
question?
nobody else backstage, so we can talk a little bit longer. But I'm
Okay.
gonna wrap up maybe in about 20 minutes or something, or get ready for the next day. But I
Sure.
don't know why my connection is so bad today. It's still telling me that the connection is poor, and I even moved closer to the router.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing maybe I just need to empty the
But
browser cache or something. Yeah.
I mean, it has not lagged that much when we have been speaking, so I have been able to
Yeah,
catch the majority.
I've moved a bit closer to to the to the router, like I said.
Do you remember once you made a stream where you asked about
Fadil Samirani. That's the guy's name. Just remembered him now.
uh,
Fadil
Fadil
Fadil Samirani.
Samiran, and he
Samir.
it's in Arabic.
Yeah, it's in Arabic. It's
Okay,
in
good.
Arabic. Just put look for him, and I'm sure he'll probably have something about this because these kind of things are, like I said, it's his
Okay.
passion. He's a very passionate linguist. So check out for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. What were you saying?
Now I was asking. Remember once you were, when you were doing those. I don't know where you were bringing in one of the streams. You brought up certain verses where you wanted to know about what they mean, or where you were discussing about what they could possibly mean and that kind of thing. And you brought up this verse in Surah Ma'idah where where Musa tells the Bani Israel about what was the ayah? Ya Bani Israel.
Yeah, وجعل فيكم ملوكا. Yes.
وجعل
Yeah,
فيكم
وجعلكم ملوكا. Yes.
وجعل
Yes.
فيكم أنبياء وجعلكم ملوكا.
Yes.
Where you asked
Yes, and
about.
I was asking who are the Anbiya before the Ben Israel had before Musa, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we don't know Ben really. I mean, we can talk about Yusuf, but that's it, right? So I put that. I think it was in a stream called Two Unanswered Verses or something like that, right? Because what was it? You have these, people, Islamophobes or anti-Islamists, always bringing up things and saying, this or that or the other is wrong in the Quran, and none of them ever piques my interest. And this is and this is one which I myself sort of not discovered, but I didn't hear it from any of them. But I myself, when reading, I was like, okay, hold on, how does this make sense? Because you have that, and then you also have the, for example, in Surah Ghafir, right? The what's his name? The Mu'min. He's speaking to Ali Fir'aun, right, and to everybody listening, and saying that he didn't, that وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ Yusuf, right, and Yusuf came among you, and you have not ceased to be in doubt over what he brought to you until he passed away, right? Right? Until now, God has sent Musa, basically, because he was speaking at the time of Musa. So that makes it seem very clear that between Musa and
Yusuf,
there was no other prophets, right? So how does it make sense that we have that verse where he's saying where he says that. So I still don't know the answer to that. Why have you come across something?
Well, I mean, this is more like I think it is pointing us towards a biblical tradition, because whereas we understand prophets in a slightly different way than prophets are understood within Jewish tradition. So you have this concept of judges within the biblical narrative. And we know from the Quran, Allah tells us that He sent in that ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, where He says, كَانَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً فَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ نَبِيِّينَ مُبَشِّرِينَ وَمُنذِرِينَ. So He gave them the kitab, وَأَنزَلَ مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ لِيَحْكُمَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. So the judge, the prophets were acting as judges, and we see the same thing in Surah Al-Ma'idah and this one, where it's a يَحْكُمُ بِهَا النَّبِيُّونَ الَّذِينَ أَسْلَمُوا. So you have this concept within biblical tradition of individuals referred to as the judges, and these were people who the biblical tradition doesn't characterize them as prophets, but I believe that we could characterize them as prophets. And you have this story in the time of Moses, where he actually appoints judges among his people. Remember those سَبْعِينَ رَجُلًا لِمِيقَاتِنَا that are mentioned in the Quran. Now, the reason why they are chosen is because God was going to appoint them as judges. So this idea for me, I think that these were going to function as prophets, and among whom, for example, was Yusha bin Nun, and of course we have Harun, right? And those people were being appointed as prophets, but they have been referred to as judges within the Jewish tradition. And I think that those, when Musa says وَجَعْلَ فِيكُمْ أَنْبِيَاءَ, that He has placed anbiya among you, that these are the ones that are being referenced because of the function that they have.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at that.
Yeah.
Would make as much sense in the context. So far, I mean, the closest up to now, before this, the closest I thought of was just, of course, that when he says جَعَلَ فِيكُمْ أَنْبِيَاءَ وَجَعَلَ مُلُوكًا, that it includes the forefathers, right? So it would include the forefathers, Ishaq, Yaqub, Ibrahim, all of them. So that's about as well. That it would include the forefathers, because جعل فيكم أنبياء وجعلكم ملوكا could mean you, as in a more loose way, to include not just the Bani Israel, but of course their forefathers as well, the fathers of Bani Israel.
Yeah.
I've
also heard.
Look at this.
I've also heard that the Muluka, and I think I liked actually this theory. It suggested that the Muluka here doesn't necessarily mean kings, but rather self-governing. That before you were in Egypt, and you're being governed and so ruled by somebody else, but now you're sort of like independent.
So like your own masters.
Exactly, you are the ones who are the sovereigns, in the land. You are governing your own selves now. You have nobody who's dictating over you as a king like that. I mean, it was an interesting theory as well.
Yeah, I think that works as well. And the other one as well, which is that جعل فيكم أنبياء. The Anbiya, of course, could just be Musa and Harun, right? It could also just mean that the promise that among them that they will have Anbiya, right? So when it says وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ جعل فيكم أنبياء وجعلكم ملوكا, is that includes that they are going to continuously have prophets. That's part of that since God has promised them that it's as good as it's already جعل فيكم, and that He's put prophecy among you, right? Like when it says جعل في ذريته النبوة, right? والكتاب, when speaking to Ibrahim, right? وجعل في, I think, what was it? Was it in في, who was that verse about?
Yeah, I believe it was about
Ibrahim, right?
Yeah.
وجعل في ذريته النبوة والكتاب. Yeah, so it's the same thing. So making in them, making of them prophets doesn't have to be that it's something of the past. It could be that's just that's something that has been put among or in the lineage of Bani Israel to have prophets. So it can be understood that way. So there are a number of ways to understand it, which I've since found reasonable, but still, it still does strike at times. It still does strike as a bit of a conundrum, right?
Yeah. I think that's one of the fascinating things that I like about the Quran for me is, of course, that ayah where it says the kitabun anzalnahu ilayka mubarakun liyadabbaru ayati, that it wasn't sort of like people that they have to come to the actual truth, but Allah is wanting us, so He leaves these nuggets. He wants us to ponder. And if you want people to ponder, you don't make everything, you don't spell everything out. You leave some things, a bit ambiguous, so people can think about them. So Allah is sort of like trying to awaken our minds. And the way you get people to think is when you leave these breadcrumbs, That
was it. It was. See, I'm remembering it in spurts now. It was Nuh and Ibrahim, right? It's in Surah Al-Hadid. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ وَجَعَلْنَا فِي ذُرِّيَّتِهِمَا النُّبُوَّةَ وَالْكِتَابَ.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that
was the one, right? But it was also the one with وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ إِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ وَجَعَلْنَا فِي ذُرِّيَّتِهِ النُّبُوَّةَ وَالْكِتَابَ.
Yeah,
right. So that could include that, right? So when talking about how put in the lineage of Yaqub, the Nubuwa and the Kitab, same thing as saying as putting in Bani Israel, وَجَعَلَ فِيكُمْ أَنْبِيَاءَ, right?
Yeah.
To put Anbiya among you. So anyway, I did that.
Yeah. But do you think that I mean, in the Quran where we have Iman, and basically, and Allah gives these different prophets, Ibrahim, Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, and then it tells the asbab. The reason why they are placed, the asbab, they are placed, in this category after Yaqub, of course, that they're placed with these people, doesn't that indicate that there must have been Anbiya between, Yaqub and Musa? More Anbiya,
Yeah.
Why would Allah elevate them,
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily has to be. No. I mean, Nasbat is a strange one because we don't hear anything about them apart from Al Asbat, right? They just appear in lists, right? Who are the Asbat, right? I don't know. I mean, what are they? So it's probably something related to the people who know biblical studies would probably know. The Jewish people, knowledge of Jewish people would know what that reference of the Quran is. But I'm not sure what it is.
According to the Quran, we see that Allah says, وَقَطَّعْنَاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَسْبَاطًا أُمَمًا. There were the 12 community asbat.
Yeah.
So we can
assume that each community were given sort of like wahi or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
they were given their own prophets, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I would assume as such that maybe these people, the man from the one who hid his iman in Surah Ghafir, that he maybe they didn't have access, to the other ones, and then focused on Yusuf, because certain times, like for example, if you went to the Jews, right, and you said, okay, they would believe that there's no prophet since Malachi, the last, and until today, right?
Yeah.
So because they don't accept Jesus and they don't accept Muhammad. So just because they don't accept him, that doesn't mean that they weren't there. So when the man who hid his man, he talks about maybe because the people had accepted Yusuf until Musa. So maybe some of them that were in between, they didn't acknowledge, so he doesn't mention them, but focus on Yusuf because Yusuf was elevated in the land. He's a huge figure within Egypt. So I think, that would make sense.
The issue, the thing about with the Asbat, the issue with a little bit of the issue of that is because, yes, the Jews were cut up as Asbat, as umams, but I think that might be different than the Asbat mentioned elsewhere, because they're mentioned as being neither Jews nor Nasara, right? So in the verse أم تقولون إن إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط كانوا هودا أو نصارى, right? So there must be before, by saying, by denying that they are neither Christians nor Jews, right, or Hoodan, that seems to be that they were before Musa, right? Right, before Musa, and of course before Isa, but also before Musa, right? If they were not,
I mean, Musa comes before the people are referred to as Jews. Before Musa comes long before. People are referred first as Jews after, like even after David. That's when the word Jew started to be used.
Yeah, okay, but so that means, but still, they have to be before, right? So it has to be before they developed. So you're saying that the Jews were there before Musa, right?
No, I'm saying that they were
After
Dawood.
That's only when people started being called Jews.
Yeah, they were not called. They only started being called Jews after the kingdom had been split into Judah and Israel, and the people who were living in Judah, those were referred to as the Judeans, the Jews, because they lived in the area called Judah.
Yeah, I see that, but I mean, because of course this verse isn't really. I mean, yeah, I see exactly what you're saying, but of course this verse is trying to talk about the religion, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about the religion, you're really talking about the kitab that they have, right? So قالت اليهود ليست النصارى على شيء وقالت النصارى ليست اليهود على شيء ومثلون الكتاب. So it's talking about the religion, really, right? So in terms of religion, right, it's really, when it comes to the Jews as a religion or Hudan as a religion, it comes down to the Kitab of Musa, right? That Musa brought them together and made them into that ummah, right?
Yeah.
So when the verse says أم تقولون إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط كانوا هودا أو نصارى, it's basically talking about being Jewish in terms of religion, right, or Christian in terms of religion. And so Ibrahim was not, neither was Ismail, neither was Ishaq, neither was Yaqub, and of course that means neither was Asbat. So that it seems to be that the Asbat were before these Asbat mentioned in these verses, at least, were before Musa, right? I mean, the other verse, I also understand what you're saying. وقطعناهم في الأرض, what was it? أمما أسباطا, right? Maybe that's different because it's been defined as umaman, as nations, right? So nations asbat is maybe different from these asbat. These asbat seem to be individuals, right? These seem to be individuals, right? قل آمنا بالله وما أنزل علينا وما أنزل على إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط, right? Asbat also had this, had revelation, wahi sent down to them. Yeah, وما أوتي موسى, and then says it وما أوتي موسى وعيسى والنبيون من ربهم, right? And then what Musa was given, right? So again, sort of indicating that Musa was given something, Isa was given something. These were like kutub, well, the asbat, was what was sent down to Ibrahim and Ismail wa Ishaq wa Yaqub wal asbat, They weren't given anything really. They weren't given like a kitab, right? Whereas, and this is one where Utiya Musa. But, what was Utiya Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub al-Asbat? No, they were just had Tanzil. So,
Very good point. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, Asbat is something I think it's something that Jewish rabbis and people like that would know. What's that famous guy, Rabbi Singer, Tovir Singer, and that guy probably be able to put his finger on it, right?
Yeah.
He say, no, when the Quran is saying it, it's referring to this, right? That's what we understand, right? Because these verses are mainly addressing the Jews and the Christians, right? So they would know, what's being referred to here. Yeah.
All right. That was all I had. But thank you very much for having the time to.
Yes, of course. And thank you for coming on as always.
Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Let me see what quickly just we have somebody else here. You mentioned Balagh earlier, made me think about this verse in Ma'idah, which you said was about electing Ali after the Prophet. Why would it be about that and not about spreading the Quran itself? All right, so he's talking about وَمَا بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَتَهُ, right? So because this was among the last verses revealed. So this was sort of Ma'idah, a few months before the Prophet passed away. And so imagine that there is something here that the Prophet is being told to declare, and if he doesn't do it, it would be as if he did not declare the whole of the message. He did not deliver the message. He did not deliver the whole of the Quran and Islam and everything. It's like it didn't happen. Why is that? The idea behind it is it's sort of like this is how, for example, Hassan al-Maliki explains it. He says, it's like if you were to build a school. Let's say you are a person of wealth and you decide you're going to build a school, right? For people to just a school, right? For to teach children to do everything, right? So you build the school, right? You've set it up. The building is finished, and then you just leave it, and you just say, okay, whoever wants, to become the principal, the board of the council, the what's called the board of directors or whatever. Yeah, you just leave it free for all for whoever wants to take it, right? It'll be as if you haven't done it. You haven't really built a school, right? Because you've just left it to the wolves, right? You've left it to just be taken by anybody, right? If you build a school, it's not just about building it and having it done and functional and everything's ready. You have to also set it up right so it can continue to do its function after you, right? So that when you turn away from it, it's still going to be running. If you just build it and just leave it for anybody, then it'll be as if you haven't done anything, you haven't achieved anything, right? So sometimes how you end things is very, very important, right? You can end things in a way where they will last, or you can end things in a way where you've just basically let it fall to pieces and destroy itself. So that's the idea behind it. It's not a clear indication of that, but the link between it is very strong, right? I think there are other links which are stronger. In the end, Ghadir Khum is a very, very strong historically. It's as strong as anything we know, right? And I think the way to view it is how I showed in my part 2 response to Jonathan Brown's to do the part 3, which is to see connected to the verse where Allah says that to every prophet we have made enemies, right? People who try to take people away from the religion, right? So that verse is speaking in that kind of way, right? Mujrimeen would take people away from the Quran, because that's in the same verse which talks about abandoning the Quran, right? That towards the end of the Prophet's life, also if you read the Quran chronologically, you start to see that the number of hypocrites were increasing, right? Then the last couple of years of the Prophet's life, just look at the last surahs, there was a lot of dissidents, right? And so you had mujrimeen around who would like to make people abandon the Quran. And so the Prophet would have had to, like I said, you don't leave the whole project of Islam to the wolves. You know that you have all of these issues happening. You know that there's a lot of problems going on, that the hypocrites are on the loose, right? They tried to assassinate him, right? The Prophet was, there was 2 assassination attempts in the last year of his life alone. Okay, and so in that context, in that historical context, it makes perfect sense that a verse like this will be revealed, telling the Prophet, بَلِّغْ مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ, in terms of setting up a leader after you, somebody who tell the people who they can rely on after you, right? Tell people who they can rely upon after you are gone, right? Because otherwise, if you don't do that, it will be as if you haven't completed, you haven't done anything with the message, because then, it can be left to the mujrimeen, can be left to the wolves who will just tear it apart. So that's the idea behind that. I hope that makes sense. Alaikum assalam, perfect dawah, be well. Yeah, internet got better since I moved. My other place it was fine. Jazakallah khair. Chilling about scriptures, Rashid. Always good to have you. And sorry, I forgot to outro you properly. Hi, assalamu alaikum, Adriana. Good to see you as well. All right, let me see. If there's anything else I can look at? And it's getting kind of late, so I think we'll call it quits there. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you a lot for coming on. Rashid and everybody else, thank you for attending, and see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.